to another episode of Pit Lane Parlay.
Welcome to another episode of Pit Lane Parlay. My name is host Mike Jokum. Jess and Matt join me tonight as we discuss plenty of news to go through since we last talked about silly season. Tonight's episode brought to you by our friends at gripmat.com, the world's first flexible non-slip tool mat that makes a great gift for the person who loves working on their car. Use promo code PLP10 for 10% off your order. So guys, let's start with some driver updates. As we saw in mid-December, Alex Palou joined Dale Coyne Racing, taking the seat of Sebastian Bourdais. So another driver in the rookie class. Do we have any expectations for Mr. Palou? Do we think he's going to succeed? Are we kind of questioning his rookie season right now?
I'm going to kind of question it. I'm not going to be too harsh, I don't think. I think I'm going to put him, mid-pack. But I think that he's definitely going to have an uphill battle. He's got a lot of talent in this year's field that he's going to be going against. So I think he's going to have his hands full for sure.
Yeah, I think a little natural sense of skepticism is a little okay at this point. I've kind of been vocal about what I feel Dale Coyne Racing is going to be like this season, and I think they're going to have an uphill battle. And it's not necessarily a knock against him. I think he's kind of just joining a team in a rough time. But from what I've heard from fans and people who've seen him throughout his career is that Palou is actually a pretty fast driver. So I definitely think there's room for hope while also understanding that there might be a little skepticism that goes along with that hope and that he may be slow at certain tracks this year.
Yeah, I think the first thought I had was he might be this year's Marcus Ericsson, where he has points where he does really well. Maybe he sneaks in with a podium or a top 5 finish, and his points where he's 18th or 19th and just kind of has a dreadful weekend all around. So moving on, one kind of insider comment here before we move on. A source close to us told us before the holidays or right after the holidays, I can't remember anymore, that Max Chilton and Gallagher Insurance Company have not committed yet to 2020. That's more so on the Gallagher Insurance side, which I guess is pretty much one and the same as Max Chilton at this point. But so there are some questions on if they'll be on the grid at all in 2020. I guess time will tell in the next month or so as we get close to the preseason test here. And another note is Fernando Alonso. Now, I know you guys are going to tease me because I totally butchered this one and did not get it right at all. Is closing in on a deal with Andretti Autosport for an Indy 500 entry, possibly more races. Michael Andretti wants to get him in more races. So I am going to pause and let you guys gloat in the fact that you were correct, and you can tell me how wrong I was.
Do you have us mixed up with anybody else? That doesn't really sound like something Jess and I would do. Does it, Jess?
No, not at all.
No, it's completely okay to be completely wrong on certain things sometimes, Mike. We're not going to make you feel bad for it or bring it up every now and then and or every episode. But yeah, I think I got that one right. And I think Jess may have alluded to, was I really the only one that said that? Oh, Jess shaking her head no. Okay. It's no fun if I can't make fun of Mike with Jess. Does that sound like something we would do, Jess? Make fun of Mike for anything?
Oh, gosh, no, not at all.
It really is okay to be that wrong on certain things sometimes, and we will try to never bring that up on the show ever again. And Jess, you said that Alonso was... Oh, nope, she's shaking her head no. I guess I was the only one, but I wanted to gang up on Mike with Jess, and I guess that's not going to work out in this situation. But yeah, I think it's going to be awesome, and especially if it does more than one race. I think that's really cool for the team and for Alonso, and I think it's cool for Mike to be that wrong.
I have kind of gone back and forth with where he's going to end up at, so I can't really join you in making fun of him because I've kind of gone back and forth, but I would be willing to guess that we'll have something else to make fun of him later.
Well, hang on a second. sometimes it's okay not to have excuse to make fun of Mike.
I don't know about all that.
Come on. It's kind of like a hobby on the show.
I know. We gotta pick on him a little bit. Or a lot.
I don't have anything to say. We're going to continue on in the happiness of the fact that we are now less than a month until we see IndyCars on the track in an official test, and less than 2 months until the season at this point. So with that being said, Clausen Marshall Racing, who had the Indy 500 entry last year with Pippa Mann, said on Twitter that they most likely will not be back on the grid this year, as well as Pippa, who tweeted right after the holidays that she herself is not looking likely for a ride in 2020. Any comments, thoughts on Clausen Marshall or Pippa here?
I mean, I got to give Pippa credit because she is 100% putting this on herself for not being able to come up with the money to do it. So I got to give her props, because a lot of other people would, kind of string things along, make up things, or not necessarily make up things, but say things that weren't exactly forthcoming about their situation. So I really appreciated the fact that she came out and kind of announced that it's not looking good for her and that she's taking credit for it. So that's really my only comment about that.
Yeah, it's good that Clausen Marshall was kind of phrasing their releases in the fact that they were still hoping to do something maybe next year, and that this wasn't the end of the road for them. Then as far as Pippa Mann, it's a bummer not to see a female on the grid. I mean, at this point, it doesn't look like there will be a female on the grid, and that's kind of a bummer. Some of the female drivers we've seen in the past year have been such great role models for the sport and for a lot of young fans out there. And I think while I may have views about Pippa that, maybe she's going to be kind of one of those drivers on the bubble going into the month of May, maybe just because of her pace and some of the results she's put up in the past. She's still, excellent role model and does a lot of hard work off the track. So that's kind of a bummer for sure in that aspect. And, hopefully this doesn't hurt the car count too much. I know they're just one entry, but the more entries, the merrier.
Heck yeah. I want to see bumping, right?
Right.
Of course. So we will continue on.
Yeah. So we're going to move on to a couple of team announcements that have been made in the recent weeks. And like you said, all my weeks are running together. So I can't remember if it was before or after the holidays. Anyways, it's been in the last couple of weeks. So Dragon Speed has announced that they intend to run 10 races, and they're officially confirmed for St. Pete with Ben Hanley. And I hope this is true. I hope it all comes together and it works for them and they get to 10 races, because we all know what happened last year and it kind of sucked. So I hope to see them in their 10. And then also Per Racer, Dreyer and Reinbold has said that they're going to be in 4 races, and that also includes St. Pete. So St. Pete's looking pretty stout at this point. What do you guys think about both of those?
So I'm going to give Matt credit here again. In the first, 7 minutes of this episode, I'm really uncomfortable with this, but I'm pretty sure he said St. Pete would have 25 cars. Jess and I went lower than that. He's looking at his phone right now. It could be 25 or 26. And if he's right, I'm going to be happy, but sad at the same time. So with that being said, Dragon Speed, whether they do 4 races or 6 races or 10 races, I'm happy that they're kind of shoring up some plans now. I did find it kind of curious that they only announced Ben Hanley for the first race of the year and not for, hey, let's, through Indy will be Ben Hanley or however they phrased it last year. But so I'm wondering if they're kind of working on some funding with, somebody we haven't heard of, or maybe somebody who has some IndyCar experience already. I don't know, maybe RC Enerson, just throwing an idea out there, because I know he does have some funding. In terms of Dreyer and Reinbold and Sage Karam, it's looking good for them. I know for a fact that they aren't positive they will be in 4 races total in 2020, but Indy is obviously 100%. St. Pete is probably close to it with the testing they did a couple days ago, and I'm pretty sure they tested Wednesday of this week as well. So super happy to see them. I think this is the first time they've done something other than Indy in 6 or 7 years at this point.
Yeah, I think it was 2013 was the last time they were part-time. So that was bizarre. Yeah, the 25 car count prediction plus on my part was on December 17th. Got that written down on my phone. Put a timestamp on there. It's kind of weird also on December 17th. A certain co-host said that Dragon Speed won't be racing in the 2020 season. Mike, was that you?
That definitely was not me.
Oh.
Well, okay, so they're confirmed, but do they have their visas so they can actually get there?
You know, we may not. So Jess might be right up until basically the Friday practice session, I guess, is when we will know for sure if Dragon Speed is racing, because there is a lot of time between now and St. Pete that
stuff can happen, man.
Visas can go wrong. I don't know. I don't know how it all works, but there's a lot that can happen between now and then. So I guess we won't disparage Jess too much at this point. But yeah, I think with the Dry and Reinbold team first, that's good news. I don't think there's a negative here. I like the fact that they're sticking with Karam because I do think he has a lot of potential. And hopefully we see Hildebrand in the two-car effort in Indianapolis. And then as far as Dragon Speed, Mike's mentioning RC Enerson. I think a guy we should be looking out for too, which is a very, Jess who kind of person is, I believe his name is James Allen, the driver that they appointed their test driver for INDYCAR, who also does some endurance racing for them, which is really random, but who knows? Maybe he's got some talent that they can harness for their INDYCAR program. So we will see, but I think that could be someone that maybe gets thrown in the mix this year as well.
I made that suggestion stupidly in an INDYCAR Facebook group and got absolutely lambasted. So shame on you, Facebook. Jess, you can continue on now.
Wait, hang on a second. For what? For the fact they may go with Allen?
Yes, I said, well, what about their reserve driver last year? And I had to delete my comment because I got tired of Facebook being Facebook.
Yeah, I mean, say one, that's not that irrational of a hot take. Well, it's not even a hot take. I mean, the guy's under contract with them, so, and they've come out and said that they might in the past. So it's really not that. I'll defend you on that one.
Thank you. Remember, I hate Facebook.
I know, like literally, that's, I guess, case in point right there.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, that just sums it up with Facebook. So Dry or Reinbold, glad to see that they're tiptoeing their way back in instead of jumping in and maybe, screwing themselves in the end. I think this is a good way for them to kind of start coming back into the series and getting their feet wet. Dragon Speed, still not totally convinced that it's going to happen. So I'm just going to continue on with my probably not going to see that happen, but stranger things have occurred. And just to throw this out there, the only reason you said 25 cars is going to be at St. Pete is because I picked 24 first and you really wanted to pick 24. So there's that.
No, as James May always said, he who is last shall finish first. And I believe I was the last one to pick an entry on that one. Yes, I was, Mike.
I was last.
No.
Last.
What did you?
I am about 98% positive on that one.
Well, as James May once said, he who is second to last shall finish first.
How about he who is not first is not last? Wait, what?
He who is not first is not.
We just turned this into Talladega Nights. Okay.
Yeah, basically. I mean, that is the politically correct. If you ain't first, you're last.
Yes.
There we go. We're getting things ironed out here. Yeah, there was also a test. What was it, a couple of days ago? Today is Tuesday, and kind of as some interesting headlines to come out of that test. We had, I believe, 4 drivers in total, according to Racer Mag, and I've identified 3 of them. I don't know if Connor Daly. Oh, Oliver Askew is the 4th one. So it was Askew, Scott McLaughlin, Arenas VK, and Sage Karam. Now, those of you at home, I'll give you 5 seconds here after this question I ask. Just kind of in your head, who do you think out of those 4 was the fastest? Nope, it was Rinus VK. So that was kind of surprising, especially I think it was by quite some margin that he was the fastest, according to what I read on Racer and Motorsport. So that's good for him. Good start. I mean, I know it's just a test, but that's good. And then McLaughlin, Team Penske. It sounds like he logged a ton of laps, and so there's kind of building speculation that maybe he is going to be featured in an entry list to this year at some tracks with Team Penske. It's not been ruled out at this point, so that's cool. And then we've touched on Sage Karam with Ryan Reinbold, and Askew was testing with Errol McLaren, Schmidt Peterson. So guys, I guess the big one there was the whole McLaughlin thing. What do you guys think? Do you think we're going to see him on a track based on what we've heard after this test?
I definitely can't rule it out. I mean, I know that he turned quite a few laps. I think I saw it was like 140 laps or something. I saw that on Twitter. Had some eyes on the ground, and he looked quick from what I was told. And don't forget also that in the test at Sebring, they were also testing the cooling system for the drivers. And from everything I heard, that seemed to work fairly well. They've got a couple things they need to, work out, kinks in the system, so to speak. But I think the test went good for the guys who were involved. So I would love to see Scott run some laps myself. I think it'd be fun to watch.
I'll start with Scott. Yeah, it's awesome that he picked it up so quick. I think he did 140 or 150 laps total on the test day. But yeah, I know the Australian Supercar schedule is pretty intense, and he's already signed his contract there for 2020. So there's not a ton of availability in terms of the IndyCar schedule for him. But if we see him at a race or two, sure, that's really cool. He seems like a hell of a driver, and he's still pretty young that he could pick it up, do a race or two this year, and maybe transition to do more and more over the next couple of years. But yeah, Rinus VK being the fastest doesn't surprise me because I know how hard he works all off season and in training and simulator work and whatnot, and being with Ed Carpenter. Maybe Ed's finally found that missing speed that seems to be missing from that car the last couple of years. But then again, it is just a test. There's not too much we should be reading into lap times. Just like at the same time, Sage Karam being a second half or two slower than Rinus and the other cars out there, considering they haven't run a road course in 7 years since I think it was Brazil. Can't really read too much into that because they were probably just trying to figure everything out with a new road and street aero kit that they haven't really had to use in many years. So all in all, it seemed like a positive test. Like Jess mentioned, the cooling it looked a little odd, and I'm sure it'll change slightly before the season starts, but everybody seemed very happy with it on an 80-degree Florida day. So to me, that's a check in the positivity box.
Yeah, I think, McLaughlin will be at a couple races this year. I think, VK being fast is really good for Ed Carpenter Racing. And then, that was going to be my next question to you guys. We both kind of answered about the aero screen, and specifically pulling a quote from Sage Karam, who tweeted out that the aero screen was actually a lot easier to adjust to than I expected. Vision and heat inside of it was zero issue whatsoever. And a fan later went on to ask, are there not any distracting reflections or anything? He just simply said, nope. So that's a good account of maybe just a fresh take since it was Karam's first time with the screen. So that's really good news. So I do think it's coming along very well. Interested to see what other drivers have to say to see if they're kind of backing up what Karam is saying. So that's cool. So yeah, that's kind of the Sebring test in a nutshell, and we can move on.
Yeah, glad to see Sage come out. And I think either Oliver or Pato, one of the McLaren drivers, came out and said something about the aero screen as well in terms of how well it worked. I think it was Oliver, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, quick shout outs to our Team Pit Lane members for their continued support. Let's go with our buddy Jake Neely, George Butts, who again, thanks for the Roar Before the 24 coverage he provided us on the ground while he was there. And last but not least, Mike Silver. And I will jump right into Stump the Host. Our Stump the Host this week is sponsored by our newest partner in Corsa Brew Coffee. Corsa Brew are motorsports enthusiasts and make coffee. And at least Jess and I love coffee and pretty much live on it at a racetrack. Matt, not so much. He's kind of weird, so we'll just leave it at that. If you go to corsabrew.com and use promo code PLP2020, you'll get 10% off your orders. And with that, Stump the Host is brought to you by my enjoyment with Will Power's push-up quest to hit 500 push-ups. That was all over social media today. If you haven't seen it, go to the Penske social media page. And my question is, there have been 7 Australian IndyCar drivers. 2 of these are going to be very hard to get, I think. Can you name 7 of them? And we'll start with Jess.
Will Power.
Ryan Briscoe.
Nope.
Jeff Brabham.
Just keep going.
Marcus Marshall.
He is not listed here.
Well, hang on. Can we define the time period we're going in?
Whatever Wikipedia tells me.
Okay. Because he was a champ car driver. I don't know if they're counting those. Okay. There's a guy, last name is Bright. I don't know his first name. I think maybe Jason.
Jason Bright. Yep. Okay. Marcus Marshall. Yeah, he's not listed here. Or he's not listed on the other page, but he is listed here. So that would be 8 total then.
So that's what I'm at. We're at 4.
I'm sorry, 9 total.
Hang on.
1 current driver and 1 driver who raced in the 500 a couple of years ago, and that's the only race he's ever done.
Is Davison a Kiwi?
Yes.
Or is he's an Australian?
Yes.
No. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, he is. Okay. So Davison, why did he do the Indy 500 a couple years ago? It's the only race.
He dominated the Road to Indy ladder and is now in the Stadium Trucks Super Truck.
Matthew Brabham.
Yep. There we go. And the other 2, at least on this list here, now, mind you, this is just a quick research that I did because I forgot I was supposed to do Stump the Host until about 20 minutes before we were recording, would be the legendary Vern Schuppan, who raced in
Jess's face.
The Indy 500 a couple times. Actually finished 3rd one year for Theodore Racing in 1981 in a McLaren. And John DeVries, who had a not stellar
no, it was terrible
for Brayton Racing, and then 1 race for PDM Racing. Did not qualify for the Indy 500 that year. So make of that what you will, and we will continue on.
Yeah, I honestly hadn't heard the first one that you gave me there. And then John DeVries is, I mean, I know PDM was bad in IRL, but man, his results were not that great.
He was also, sorry to cut you off, he was with Brayton Racing for the first 5 or 6 races. Not that helped his results at all.
No. But yeah. Okay. So moving on, just a real quick update. Something we haven't talked about in a little while here is just a Robert Wickens update. For those who didn't see around the holidays time, I think it was Christmas Eve. Wickens posted an update of him at Pit Fit, actually walking around with a cane. So again, it's just really fantastic to see these updates and to see him progressing so well. And, again, we've always been saying that we wish him the best and that his recovery is kind of something we're always keeping an eye on, and that we appreciate the updates they share with us. Again, when they don't have to, but they choose to. So that was really nice. So again, we're just giving a quick word to Robert that we really love seeing the recovery, and we continue to wish him well.
So, yeah, absolutely. And not to be weird here, but I had to look up Marcus Marshall because that's just weird. And he's from Tasmania, which I then had to look up Tasmania, and it's a island state of Australia, but they even have a separate flag. So I'm guessing that's why they probably didn't count him. They're sort of Australia, but not exactly.
He drove for a team called Team Australia.
That doesn't mean he's...
I mean, Alex Tagliani drove for Team Australia. What are we trying to say?
So where's he from? Okay.
He's from Toowoomba.
But I just thought that was interesting because, I mean, how many drivers are from Tasmania? Somebody do that while I'm doing my next segment here.
I mean, I feel like the only reason I knew that is because Will Power replaced him eventually. And so that's kind of, I mean,
it's just a little random tidbit right there. I saw that and I had to say it. So anyways, I'm going to move on. Our next thing we're going to talk about is happening. It actually started yesterday, going all week this week. It's Chili Bowl time. I did not actually see a final entry list count, but I know it was over 300 cars were entered this year, and it is going to be an insane week of racing there in Tulsa. So we have some former and current IndyCar drivers that are going to be entered this year, including Santino Ferrucci, Connor Daly, James Davison, JJ Yaley, and Corey Kruisman. So you all need to check it out if you have the chance. I know that if you want to watch Alphabet Soup, it starts, I believe, at 11 o'clock in the morning. I don't know what the main is going to be, but it's usually around O or so down there, and they work their way up the alphabet. And that is going to be on racingboys.com. It is pay-per-view. I think it's like $30 or $40 for the day. That gets you up and through the C main. The A and B mains are then on MAV TV. And so you would have to have that. If you're here local in the Indy area, we are going to be watching it at 1911 Grill. They are going to have it on all day, starting at 11 in the morning and going all the way through. So yeah, God, it's, 14 hours, roughly, give or take 12 to 14 hours of some of the best racing you're going to see. Crazy event, crazy amount of cars, and everybody just, is gunning to win. So it's going to be fun. And I just can't wait. Honestly, I can't wait to watch it on Saturday.
Yeah, I hope I have the time this weekend. I don't really know what I have going on, but assuming I'm around, I'll definitely be tuning in. I don't even know if I have MAV TV anymore now that I have a different cable provider. So I'll have to do my research, but it's an awesome event. I tuned in a little bit last year. I think I bought like 2 days of coverage and then watched the weekend. So yeah, I'm excited to see how, especially the IndyCar guys do, but just in general, it's always an awesome event to watch.
Yeah. And good luck to especially the active IndyCar drivers and Santino, Daly, and Davison. Wishing the best and safety and all that good stuff. And Jess, to put you on the spot, who do you think is, I know it's kind of hard to predict with 3,000 entries in the race, but who do you think is going to win?
Well, 3,000 is a little high. But I am going to say that Brady Bacon's going to do it this year. I feel like he's going to come home with it. And I was just trying to find, because we've already gotten into it, I was trying to find the flip count as of Tuesday night, but I don't see it yet. So that's kind of weird. Actually, no, I'm sorry. Right there, flip count.
It was around 9 or 10 before we started recording.
Well, they're putting them up. They've put several up, but they haven't put the actual number of flips. They're just using the hashtag flip count. So that's not helpful. Oh, there we go. 9 as of 2 hours ago. Already, just a day and a half in, and they're at 9 flips. So it'll be fun.
Well, with that being said, I think I got that one correct, and we will move on. I'm sorry, I had to. Yeah, I don't know about 98% of these drivers entering, so I hope one of the IndyCar guys will win. I think that'd be pretty cool. Although most likely they'll all be underdogs. I was looking at an entry list here and realized I'm looking at an entry list from 6 years ago, so that's probably why all these names look confusing. Anyway, so quick IndyCar discussion here before we get to our pitfalls. IndyCar over the past month has tweaked numerous rules. Let's see here, starting with in practice 1 and 2, with the exception of the practice and warm-up period that is before the race, and for qualifying, the issue where drivers would cause a red flag and then IndyCar would guarantee 1 lap of green afterwards is gone once the red flag comes and there's not enough time to clear the track before practice ends. Practice is now just over. I guess they figured that lap was useless and might as well save those tires. So I get that. Not really a big deal. Probably the biggest one, I'll save that for last. There are now 2-stage pit speed limits at all ovals, obviously, except for Indy, which I think was instituted just for Texas last year. It seemed to work pretty well. So we'll have to see how that works at more of the short ovals. But I think it's a good system to get cars back up to speed and not fall even more laps down than they already do on a short oval. And lastly, probably the biggest headache last year was standardizing the yellow flag procedures to reorganize the field. They are now going off of where drivers were when they completed the previous fully completed lap instead of where they were when the yellow fell, which caused all sorts of headaches at, I believe it was Indy. I think there was a pretty long yellow flag after the red flag to figure that out. And then definitely Portland. I know that one was frustrating to a lot of people. And a couple other tracks, there was definitely confusion to a lesser degree here. So guys, question 1 is, are we okay with these changes? And question 2, would you change any other current rule right now?
Yeah, I'm really happy with the changes. I think the biggest of the 3 that you read for sure was the trying to reduce time at the yellow flags. Specifically, the one that was kind of made an example out of was Portland, where after the first lap, it took like 13 laps to reorganize the field, which is just absurd. I mean, people come to watch the racing. They don't come to watch the field get sorted out behind the pace car. So that was just absurd. The only rule that I would change actually there's 2. Sorry if I steal anybody's answers. The first one would be getting rid of double points at Indy or the finale. And the second is I would like to see road course qualifying format changed. Formula One did this for 2 years. They actually had one car go at a time, just like they would on an oval. And they would do it by, I think, either practice speed or points entering the race. So the first with the last amount of points would go first, kind of like we see on the ovals, entrant points. And I think that would create a lot of drama, just give a driver an out lap, one flying lap, and then an in lap, and that's it. So they have one lap to nail. And there's nothing really wrong with the current system. I just think that would be pretty cool to watch.
Yeah, I'm not going to disagree with that entirely. I think that I would change the way they qualify slightly, but I don't know if I would do it quite like that. I don't like everybody gets penalized if there's a red. I think it should just be the person who caused the red, and then they stop the clock kind of thing. Maybe, I don't know. There's several different ways I think that they could change that up a little bit. As far as what they are currently changing, though, I think it's great. I hope that it is easier for them to implement. I think the first race is going to be pretty telling, and we'll see how that goes. And then as far as you're wanting to get rid of double points, sure, for the last race of the season, let's get rid of double points there. I still think that they should have them at Indy, though, just because I think Indy should mean more, maybe a little bit, than other races, really give guys an extra incentive to do even better there than, because they already obviously want to do better there because it's Indy, but it gives them the extra incentive. As far as something I would change, man, I don't know that I would really change anything. I was going to say the way that they do the pits open and close during yellows, but they did a really good job of that last year. So I think if they continue on with that and attempt to keep everything open and even as few yellows as possible like they did last year, I really appreciated that. So I definitely think everything's, for the most part, going the right direction.
I'm going to go with Matt here and go with elimination of double points everywhere. But the rules that were changed, I'm fine with. I have no issue with. I think it's a good step in the right direction. I don't know if I would necessarily change a rule, but I would definitely make the blocking calls that have kind of hurt some drivers in the past couple of years much more clear in terms of what is blocking and what is not. So that's, maybe I'd clear up a rule instead of writing a new rule.
Yeah, and real quick, do you think IndyCar, because kind of on one of Jess's points where they shouldn't just punish everybody for a red flag in qualifying, do you think IndyCar maybe needs to do a better job of balancing giving fans entertainment for the ticket they purchase with lots of on-track action versus not making the schedule so tight that they can't afford to delay a qualifying session 5 minutes to accommodate a red flag. What's your guys' take on that?
That's a very good question. I am going to say the current system of having a lot going on for the most part is very good, especially if it's Road to Indy. I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't change that.
It's kind of a double-edged sword, honestly. I feel like getting the qualifying sessions in is extremely important, and actually being able to have them run them instead of having it be red flagged the whole time or most of the time. Yes, having entertainment is good, but I think it kind of can backfire. So I might change it a little bit. I wouldn't change it a ton, but I would definitely build in some, buffer time, like maybe a half an hour at the end of the day that could be spread out if something does happen so that the sessions could get in.
Yeah, and even if, I don't know, go as far as to say that to really maybe try to dissuade mistakes in qualifying. I mean, practice, take it or leave it, but qualifying, if you cause a red flag, maybe just park for the session. That way, maybe drivers aren't not necessarily not pushing the absolute limit, but not just, doing things that are kind of risking it to get the biscuits. So I don't know something, but I do think that I agree kind of with both of you that the current system they have now is good, while maybe finding a way to tweak it so that we can get a full qualifying session and not maybe 1 or 2 flying laps for everybody, maybe more.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. So with that, falls this week are sponsored by our friends at Craft 1861, all natural CBD products for your health and wellness at craft1861.com.
And now it's time for Pit Lane Parlay's Pitfalls of the Week.
All right, so I guess I will get this ball rolling. I've had so many good ones, like over the past, 3 weeks now, 3.5 weeks, whatever it is. There's been a lot, and I picked one from I don't even remember. Is he NASCAR Trucks? I don't remember what.
I think he's full-time NASCAR Trucks and part-time Xfinity Series, but please don't hold me to that one. I'm obviously not the expert here.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly. I really wish I knew more about NASCAR sometimes. Anyways, Tommy Joe Martins. He is a driver, and I cannot remember. I don't remember. I know I looked it up, but I don't remember what he does. Anyways, he had some interesting words for people on Twitter. Oh boy. I'm going to read this, and I quote, "Smart-mouthed internet commentaries don't do much for me either, but if you want to watch a bunch of millionaires drive around, watch INDYCAR or sport car racing. You want to watch hardworking people put their ass on the line every week, watch Xfinity and NASCAR Trucks." Yeah, I mean, there is so much wrong with this. First of all, I don't really know where he gets that everybody in IndyCar and sports car are millionaires and making $1 bajillion. Like, he's clearly mistaken there. And that's even not even half the point, I don't think. But then there's the people in Xfinity and NASCAR Trucks putting their ass on the line every week. Pretty sure that they are safer. I'm pretty sure that's a big draw for a lot of drivers. I just don't even know where else to take this other than what? What is wrong with you?
I other than the boo button, I really have nothing on this one.
I mean, I appreciate that for like the first time in a long time, the boo button was used against somebody other than me. But yeah, there's
just a whole lot wrong there.
It's just one of those takes where we got to just frame it and put it on our wall of shame somewhere, because that is a horrendous take if I've ever seen one. Speaking of horrendous takes, I got my pitfall lined up here. This is for Brian Keselowski. So please don't go on Twitter and start bashing Brad Keselowski, but not Brad. This is Brian Keselowski. This is in regards to a debate that came up on Twitter. I don't know if it was sparked by Brian, but I saw a lot of chatter about sim racing and, the talents behind it. I saw somebody tweeting that it's physically demanding. Not quite sure I get that argument. I definitely say mentally demanding, but physically, I don't know if I agree with that one. But Brian went as far, and this is his tweet word for word, so please don't get mad at me. He's replying to someone. I don't have the original tweet, but I'm assuming it's in regards to supporting sim racing. And Brian said, quote, "What facts, dumbass? I play Madden, but it doesn't make me a coach or football player." Okay, so the argument's like, I don't agree with that argument, but it's not so bad so far. Then he goes on to say, "You idiots think you are on the same level as real racers and it's a mental disorder." Nope, can't say that. Then he goes on to say, "No different than kids shooting yo schools because they're playing shooting games. You people need help." That is something you definitely can't say on social media at all, especially if you are in that kind of public sphere where people are watching you. Nope, not a good idea. I don't know if that tweet is still up or if it's been deleted. I know there's screenshots of it everywhere. And he said later on, I was checking his tweets, and he said that it was taken out of context. I would love to see him try to put that into the appropriate context, because I think he's going to lose that battle 100% of the time. And I really don't understand this day and age saying that. I don't think it was appropriate. I don't think it was a good argument. You could have taken that 16 million different directions, but to kind of die on that hill was not the best idea, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm again at a loss for words, and I don't want to use the boo button again already, but just really in poor taste all around. I'm just going to leave it at that before I say something silly.
Yeah, I mean, if you really think about it, I get probably what he was trying to mean, because people do blame video games for school shootings or whatever. I get that, but what, dude? That doesn't make any sense in this particular battle that he was going after. So nope, just don't do it. Just don't go there.
Well, continuing on the Twitter train, seems like despite saying early in the episode we hate Facebook, apparently the name of the game is Twitter this week. F1 tweeted a comment from somebody who works for Ferrari. I don't have the tweet in front of me right now because I'm having some technical difficulties with my phone, but it pretty much said, we will see a woman racing in F1 at some point, to which the replies were a hot mess express. There were, honestly, I was floored at the amount of negativity and stupid comments I saw. Usually, all right, you get one or two idiots mixed in there. It happens everywhere. But this was a large majority of people were saying really dumb things. None of them I'm going to bother repeat, but really disappointing to see people have that viewpoint, especially with drivers like Pippa Mann or W Series champion Jamie Chadwick, who I think has some sort of role with Williams this year. I don't remember what kind of role she has, and plenty of other talented female drivers. And I'm pretty sure I had a similar pitfall the last time we did pitfalls in December. But just again, come on, people. It just use your brain.
I believe the original tweet you were talking about actually came from Ferrari, and it was that they were going to put females in their Ferrari driving school or whatnot. Anyways, I almost pitfalled the original tweet because all they were doing was begging for attention when they were saying, we're going to put women in our program, when just put the woman in your program and just do it. You don't need to kind of gauge the public interest or outcry. Just put a female in the program that has shown promise. And then, yeah, like you said, the comments were fantastic. Saw one where a male was like, this is what happens when you put a woman in a car. And it was like a car driving in a circle in a parking lot, just running into things. So really, come on now. Yeah, lots to say on that one, but I won't rant for hours.
Yeah, I think the other pitfall in question was something to do with Haley Deegan, if I remember correctly, because I remember saying something along the lines that I can't do what she does. She's stronger than me and could kick my ass.
Yeah. Again, it was Twitter and something along the lines of, I bet she can't wheel a 3,500 pound stock car around a track for a couple hours. To which I reply, my 45-minute workout at the gym today, which is not nearly as hard as anything she does, left me laying on the floor when I got home tonight. So I think that says enough about me.
Yeah, I can't do it. She does. I couldn't do it. Any of the talented female drivers out there do. And for, I think I said something along the lines that keyboard warrior couldn't do it, and Haley Deegan does either. So, it's really dumb. It's not like a funny narrative at all. I don't get the humor behind it. And, you see certain tweets about other stuff that I guess we don't need to digress into, but like WNBA, anytime you see anything about WNBA, the replies are pretty toxic too. So pretty dumb narrative. Hopefully one day it goes away and we can just have a rational debate about, drivers' merits as a whole.
Yeah, very well said. So with that is our early January silly season wrap up. Hope everybody enjoyed it, and we will be back next week. So unless there's anything else, Jess, go ahead and sign us off.
Just a quick breaking news type situation. Kyle Larson has won the Tuesday prelim feature at Chili Bowl and will go on to race Saturday. Anything else? No? Okay. All right. And guys, keep your lug nuts tight.